So it looks like it is happening. Capital One moving some of its most popular credit cards over to the Discover network. We thought this was in the works for a while, but now we have some evidence that it is finally happening, and we're going to tell you all about it in this video. Hey credit warriors, welcome to the show. My name is Ben Hedges, aka the Credit Shifu, and on this channel I cover US credit cards, personal finance, and luxury travel. If you like the sound of that, please subscribe. But let's get into it. So Capital One bought Discover back in May last year for $35 billion. The obvious reason for Capital One buying Discover is that Discover is not just a card issuing bank, but also a payment network like Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. This is rare in the credit card industry, and the only other one that I can think of is American Express, who issue their own Amex branded cards like this green card, but they also run over the Amex network. There's the network logo on the back. Now, we first saw something like this happening with Capital One about 8 months ago. Capital One had all its debit cards move over to the Discover network. Here is a post someone made back then on Reddit showing off their new Capital One debit card with the Discover logo and the logos of Diners Club and Pulse on the back. Now, people worry about international acceptance with Discover, but Discover do have a map where you can check acceptance, and it does seem that there is acceptance in many countries that people often go to. It's only really Russia, most of Africa, and the Middle East that doesn't seem to accept Discover at all. And most other places say high acceptance, although you will probably be looking for the Diners Club logo, not the Discover logo. And it's not like people are really going on vacation to Russia or Iran right now. But for the more adventurous travelers, I can see it being a problem. Like for that guy I had on my show a while back, Richard Debs, who really like doing these long trips to Africa.
Thank you, Built. Thank you, Built. That's a Built roar.
Take a look at Kenya here. That was one place he talked about. And yeah, look, no acceptance. So anyway, people have been worried that Capital One would be doing the same thing with its credit cards as it has done with its debit cards. Well, now we have some evidence that that is indeed happening on some of Capital One's credit cards. Let's check it out. So people have discovered on Capital One's benefits guide page for its credit cards on its website, and this is still live, by the way, on their site as of the time of recording. If you scroll down, you get PDF benefits guides for these Capital One cards: Venture, Venture One, Saver, Saver One, Quicksilver, and Quicksilver One. The cards that have one after the name are the lower tier versions of the card with a lower or no annual fee, and they earn less points, etc. Now, if you click in and look at the PDF, it says that these benefits are in effect as of February 1st, 2026, meaning that these versions of the cards running on the Discover network must already exist, but have just not been announced or released yet. Notably absent is the Capital One Venture X, which is their premium travel credit card. It gets you into all the airport lounges and stuff, and that one runs on Visa network, and the ones that are possibly switching to the Discover network are all MasterCard. So is Capital One ditching MasterCard in favor of Discover and leaving the cards that are on the Visa network, which is the Venture X, and also some of their business cards, as is? That could very possibly be what they plan to do. Leave the highest level cards with Visa for maximum international acceptance and switch all other personal cards over to Discover for maximum profit. And an interesting thing that I only noticed when I started researching this video is that Capital One does not have network logos on the front of its cards anymore. Look, see? Not a single MasterCard or Visa logo in sight. And I even tried to search the word MasterCard and Visa on the landing page for the Capital One Venture card, and it returned no result. It does not mention it at all. People on Reddit have also realized this fact, like this guy, and people commenting on this post have various responses. They like to promote their own brand and not the card network. MasterCard, which most of their cards are, cheapens the brand because Costco exists. If you don't know, Costco only accepts Visa cards. I've also had several situations outside the US where a merchant could take Visa but not MasterCard. Inside the US, I have only ever seen this at Costco. Capital One has different pools of customers for the same product. Student, rebuilding credit, fair credit, good credit, and excellent credit, and possibly more. I know they have these pools for Quicksilver, Venture, and Saver cards. Those are actually the ones which are switching to Discover, possibly. Last I looked, about 7 years ago now, the higher tiers of customers got Visa cards, very good and excellent credit. Everyone else got MasterCard. Okay, so that last one I think is actually out of date. I don't think it's like that anymore, but that's how it used to work. But the theory I have is more in line with the first comment. They like to promote the brand, not the card network, because they actually want to do away with MasterCard and maybe even eventually Visa and have Capital One cards run exclusively over the Discover network, which they own. But because Discover arouses suspicion of, will it be accepted everywhere? Kind of like Amex does, but even worse with Discover, they want to just show you the Capital One logo only. That's what I suspect, and I believe they probably will be switching their mid-level cards to Discover, or maybe like that other person said, they might have pools of different credit, like the lower people are on Discover and the higher people get MasterCard, and then the really high people who get the Venture X, they're on Visa. I mean, if they didn't switch over at least some of their cards to Discover, what would be the point of buying Discover in the first place? Sure, they switch the debit card, but merchant fees on credit cards are higher than on debit cards. So I would imagine they would definitely want to get at least some of their credit cards running over Discover too. Now, when will this potential switch be happening? So far, there is nothing that indicates a timeline except for the date on the first page of the benefits guide that says this is already valid as of February 1st. That just means that the product exists and could be released to the public, but it doesn't indicate a clear timeline. However, if they have already created this and put it out publicly, they know people will find out and start talking about it like we're doing today. Maybe they are checking the reception first to see what people think, so I would expect to see at least some news about this maybe within a month or so. Does it really matter though? For me, I don't think it does. People who are serious about travel will have at least one high-end travel card in their wallet, and if they are Capital One loyalists, that's gonna be the Venture X. And there are no indications that the Venture X will change network. Even for people who have those mid-tier cards, I think it's only gonna seriously affect you if you are an adventurous traveler and you like going to places like Africa, the Middle East, and Russia. Even with the Middle East and Africa, the most common locations for American tourists like the UAE, okay, so Dubai and stuff, Egypt, South Africa, they're all covered. So I don't see this being as big a deal as people think, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear if it affects you or not. And hey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it would be terrible. And also, when do you think this is going to happen? You can tell me about what you think too. As always, thank you so much for watching the show. Please subscribe if you're new for more credit card tips and tricks. This is our last video of February, so we'll see you next month, which is in like 2 days. All right, bye-bye.